I have an interesting scoop for you guys. The H3 podcast and Ethan Klein have been paying news outlets to publish positive articles about them. And I was recently contacted by one of these paid news outlets. This is not exactly something that they're keeping under wraps. In fact, Ethan even openly solicited recommendations for news outlets that would be willing to accept payment in exchange for parroting his own narrative of himself supposedly being a victim of harassment and all of this, totally uncritically. This is a clip from his podcast where he did this.
I want to say, if any of you guys are associated with some kind of article publishing website, like Forbes or, I don't know, there's a bunch of these websites that just host articles. Let us know, because Tom needs a new stomping ground.
Wait, I thought Tom was the Forbes guy.
They locked him out.
What?
They locked him out.
It's crazy. They locked him out. What does that mean?
He was writing an article, and he logged in to see, because he hadn't logged in, I guess, in like over a year.
Okay.
To see if his account was still working. And it was, at first he logged in and it was, and then he logs in the next day and his shit was canceled.
He is no longer a Forbes correspondent?
Not officially.
That was why we hired him.
Wow.
It's heartbreaking.
I don't know if he said he's trying to work it out with them, but didn't sound promising. Because they straight up are nuked to like change his password.
Okay, so the H3 podcast was using Tom Ward, who is their public relations / sponsorship guy, to use Forbes as essentially a vanity article publishing service, with the idea that their posted blog articles there would look like they were actually hosted by Forbes when it was just like the Forbes blogging service. And they can't do that anymore, so they've been looking for new candidates. And one of these candidates is the Free Press. I received an interesting email from them just the other day. So I just want to tell you about what the Free Press is. It sounds like an actual legitimate newspaper or something. It really is not. It is the Vanity Project, essentially a glorified blog of Bari Weiss. Bari Weiss, like, no one really knows how she got to where she is or where she was, rather, because she's not there anymore. But she used to, like, write opinion pieces for the New York Times, which are so banal and so, like, boring and like useless and so poorly written that no one ever really understood how she was in that position. She ended up getting fired due to this lack of merit, and she couldn't get a job anywhere else. So rather than trying to improve her skills or anything, she founded her own little Medium blog called The Free Press. And now she and her friends use this Medium blog to sort of masquerade as real journalists. So I got an email from a guy who pertains to be from The Free Press called David Gurri. And I'll show you it right here. So David says, I'm writing an article for the Free Press about recent incidents of harassment against Ethan Klein. Notice how there's no doubt there. There's no claims of harassment. There's no alleged harassment. It's the harassment happened. Dead giveaway that this is going to be a paid puff piece for the Kleins. The article references comments you've made in your videos and on social media. In the interest of fairness, I wanted to give you a chance to respond before publication. The article includes the following claims: that you claimed Ethan Klein's house was filled with dog feces, which you claimed had caused his children to catch Giardia. That at the same time, you referred to Giardia as a parasite that had previously never heard of and previously unknown to science. That you began posting anti-Ethan Klein and anti-Hila Klein videos on your main channel in October of 2024. That you made posts on social media in which you've supported Hamas, called all Israelis valid targets, and referred to Zionists everywhere as combatants who must be stopped. This last point is based on 3 tweets which have since been deleted. I can show you the screenshots if you request them. You're welcome to provide a response or clarification regarding any claims made against you. Please respond within 48 hours if you'd like to comment. Thanks for your time, David Gurri. So, our friend David here seems to think that he's like a serious journalist, and he seems to be writing in the way that he thinks that serious journalists do, and he seems to consider himself to be quite threatening, like, please respond within 48 hours or there's gonna be hell to pay, you're gonna be in big trouble. Now luckily no one reads the Free Press and no one knows who the fuck David Gurri is, though I'm gonna tell you all about him in a second. But you can just tell from the framing what this is. The Free Press, it just publishes far-right vanity articles on behalf of Bari Weiss, who is a unmeritorious far-right nobody who played as a journalist for a little while until the New York Times got bored of her and threw her out. And this is what she does. She has articles written for her by David Gurri. So let's analyze the questions. That you claimed Ethan Klein's house was filled with dog feces. It is. which you claimed has caused his children to contract giardia. Now, if this guy had done like even a slight modicum of research, he would have been led to the long clip where Ethan Klein outlines that his house is filled with dog feces and his kids got giardia from eating dog feces by his own word. But you know, the free press don't exactly have the greatest journalists at their disposal. That you at the same time referred to giardia as a parasite that had previously never heard of and that was previously unknown to science. David, I think you might not be cut out for this internet thing. That you began posting anti-Ethan and Hila Klein videos on your main channel in October of 2024. David, what kind of a question is that? That's the sort of thing that you should be able to go to my channel and look at for yourself, David. You're not doing a great job of play acting as a journalist. Anyway, so you might wonder, who is this prestigious journalist who Ethan Klein has contracted to write articles that uncritically spout his narrative as if it's fact, without even looking into the facts? Like, you know, the fact that the things that he is accusing me of saying are things that Ethan Klein himself said about his own family and getting giardia from dog shit. Now, if you Google David Gurri, pretty much nothing pops up. The guy has absolutely no social media profile, but the reason for that is because if you add the free press to this, you do actually start getting results from Martin Gurri. Martin Gurri, who is a former CIA agent, according to himself, don't know if that's actually true, who writes some blog articles occasionally for the free press on their glorified Medium blog, who, you know, himself says that he is a Trump voter, so what else is there to say about that? So David Gurri is Martin Gurri's son. His only writing credits up to this point are all joint credits with his father. So his father is already exceptionally unmeritorious. He's basically a product of the internet where anyone can publish whatever they want. And then you have like, you know, this free press website, which kind of seems like it's legitimate to someone who doesn't know any better. And he gets to like play act at being a serious journalist by publishing his blogs there that no one ever reads. David Gurri is even worse than that though. David Gurri is his father's nepotism hire. It's like being a nepotism hire for cleaning toilets. If you search for the writing credits that David Gurri has, all of them are with his dad. As you can see here, Martin Gurri and David Gurri. Basically, his dad is trying to help him get like a leg into the journalism sphere. And after pestering his dad enough, his dad's like, okay, champ, I'll allow you to write one article on the prestigious Bari Weiss blog, The Free Press. And David's like, you know what? Fuck yes. I'm going to write an article about Ethan Klein, CPS. I'm going to write an article about the skulls that Ethan Klein sent himself. And you know what? I'm going to throw in the swastika sword for good measure. Because I shit you not, David Gurri has been tweeting about the swastika sword for months at this point. As you can see here, this is David on his Twitter account, and I've confirmed this is actually him, responding to someone saying that the swastika sword is just a random anime sword by saying, actually, Hassan's never watched the anime. So it's actually a Nazi dog whistle, intentional Nazi dog whistle. So Ethan Klein has paid this guy, this absolute nobody, to write a positive article for him on Bari Weiss's blog. This guy who, to be clear, has never worked a day in his life, who's only even able to write on this blog because of his connections to his dad who himself is a total nobody. And he spent 30 years of his life with nothing but anime and video games in a dark room, and now he's coming out of his shell to parrot Ethan Klein's self-persecution narrative verbatim. So I sent a response to David Gurri, a proportionate response. If this guy wants to play at being a journalist, I'm going to play at being one as well. We can go tit for tat. So I sent him my own request for comment regarding the possibility of me creating a top Google search result for his name. And I wrote, "Hi David, I've noticed that there is nothing on Google for you, so anything I make will immediately be the top position for any Google search for your name. This made me giddy with glee, as it means anything I make on you will be what you're judged by for eternity. In light of this, I have a set of allegations that I researched as thoroughly as you did yours against me. Is it true that you have absolutely no talent, no relevant education, no work experience, nothing, so you had to beg your already meritless father to allow you to write a slop article about a YouTuber's completely unevidenced self-victimization narrative for Bari Weiss's Medium blog? Do you really eat shit 3 meals per day? Did you really do what they say you did to those kids? You have 48 hours to respond, and a lack of response will be considered an admission." As of yet, David Gurri has not responded. Thus, we can safely assume that he is admitting to every single thing that I said in this email. That's how journalism works, folks. It really is that simple. If you're going to play act at being a journalist when no one has ever heard of you ever, and you're writing for a far-right slop blog, you should not expect to be taken seriously, and you should not be surprised when your planned defamation against someone gets turned right around on you, and you're the one who ends up being exposed, not them. So that's the caliber of journalists that Ethan Klein is hiring to write positive articles about him. But trust me, that's not even the worst of it. There's this website called spilled.gg, which is basically a blog that mass produces slop AI written articles about internet drama, and they started covering Ethan Klein last year. And the guy who has been covering Ethan Klein stuff and like repeating his own self-victimization narrative verbatim in like 5 different articles per week has just openly posted on LinkedIn thanking Tom Ward. That is the guy at the H3 podcast who is responsible for paying people to give them positive PR, for giving him the opportunity to write positive articles about the H3 podcast. I shit you not. They're not exactly hiding this very well. Here is a post from the person in question, Riley Fox, who writes, "After 4 years of dedicating early mornings and late nights to writing about niche internet topics, I am thrilled to announce my promotion from editor to head of Spilled, a website dedicated to esports gaming and streaming news. Writing for them has been incredibly rewarding for me creatively, and recently it reached a new high when my favorite content creator, Ethan Klein of the H3 show, recognized my work. Special shout out to Tom Ward and the rest of the H3 crew." So there's absolutely no reason for this guy to specifically shout out Tom Ward, you know, the head of PR, the head of marketing, the head of sponsorships, unless he himself has business with him, because that guy is mostly off screen. We know precisely what's going on here. He's shouting out Tom Ward because Tom Ward is the one who got him involved in this, who got him involved in writing these Ethan Klein commissioned articles, which eventually led to his promotion. Spill.gg actually have a Reddit account where they just outright post their articles, or this guy's articles rather, on the H3 production subreddit, which is where the vast majority of their articles are posted, and they actually comment on them with stuff like, "Ethan's lawyer is going to make light work of Noah with clips like these." My favorite quote from Ethan is, "You don't understand, I have nothing left to lose, I am crazier than you." It's a very apt description of the situation and makes me giggle every time, lol. So they could not really make the connection here more obvious. Honestly, I don't think Ethan's getting his money worth for this. You're kind of making this far too clear. Like, you're posting ridiculously gushing articles about Ethan Klein all of a sudden, basically daily, for the last, 8 months. Everyone knows what's going on here, especially given your contact with Tom Ward. You guys have to be smarter with this stuff. You can't just leave the connections so obvious and out there like this. Just as an example of the sort of idiotic straight from Ethan Klein with zero evidence provided for any of the claim stuff that they publish. Ethan Klein received 2 real human skulls sent to his home address. Online creator harassment takes a disturbing turn with delivery of actual human remains. So what actually happened, which has been well established by this point, is Ethan Klein sent these fucking skulls to himself, which is why he just so quietly dropped this and stopped talking about it, because if anyone looks into the case, it's clear that he did. Doesn't matter though, because Riley Fox here is being paid by Ethan Klein, and he will say anything in order to get that bag. Ethan asks him to jump, he says, "How high?" And I shit you not, immediately after this website started publishing positive articles about Ethan Klein, a review popped up on Scam Advisor from an Ethan giving them 5 stars and saying, "Legitimate website about streaming and video games." Quite clearly, they asked him if he could please leave them a 5-star review, and he did without realizing that people could find it. I fucking love this guy. And this is part of a long-standing, decade-long pattern for Ethan and H3. A former PR employee of theirs posted a Medium blog way back in 2018 saying that he was hired by them to run a PR campaign when they were under fire by a YouTuber named Gokanaru who made a video exposing them for, I don't know what, something. But the point is, Ethan Klein demanded that this company spread the idea that these people were only attacking him from an anti-Semitic angle, claiming that it was because he was Jewish. And Ethan Klein kept asking them to try and get the video taken down, to DMCA it, to report it. They told him that wasn't really possible, and they also refused to do an anti-Semitism smear campaign for him, which made Ethan Klein go crazy and end the contract with them. So yeah, he's been doing this for a long fucking time. This is nothing new. Ethan Klein is just so egotistical, so totally obsessed with what others think about him, that hiring PR firms and, at this point, random nobody nepo babies to write articles about him is just par for the course, really. He does this habitually. He doesn't have a hobby, he doesn't do anything. All he does is think about what people say about him online. So those are the cases that are the most egregious so far, where it's very clear that Ethan Klein is like paying bottom-of-the-barrel bloggers to pretend to be journalists and publish his self-victimization narrative uncritically, verbatim, no matter how many times it's already been disproven at this point, because he has tried to peddle his story to actual serious or remotely serious outlets. And even like the low tier ones have said, no, we're not touching this with a fucking 10-foot pole. So he's reduced to going to Bari Weiss's blog and spill.gg. But this isn't even like the worst of it, because Ethan also constantly cites stuff like, for example, AI written blogs that cover him positively and that attack Hassan. Like this one, E.V Solanas, which is someone with fake photos, fake everything, who also has a YouTube channel where they publish videos with a fake AI voice, with articles that are very clearly written by AI on a Medium blog. Basically, the point of this is to write headlines that can then be cited by Ethan Klein on his stream in order to attempt to make Ethan look good and his enemies look bad. You know, like this definite 100% real Palestinian who wrote an article called Defending Ethan Klein of H3 on Israel-Palestine. Ethan Klein is not a Zionist, which then, of course, gets cited verbatim by Ethan Klein on his stream. So recently, after this clear Ethan Klein sock puppet channel started getting called out for using an AI voice and having obviously fake avatars and stuff, they paid a Filipino woman on Fiverr to lend the bottom half of her face and her voice to the fake channel. And this is a very obvious Filipino accent. Anyone who's ever heard like a Filipino who didn't specifically learn a ton of English as a child speaking English can tell this accent fucking immediately. I gotta say, they didn't do a great job here.
Hello everyone, my name is E.V Solanas. The aim of my content is to promote education and healthier, honest, and fair discourse online. I am an abolitionist.
You have to be fucking kidding me. You have to be fucking kidding me. You're trying to tell us this is a Palestinian. Have you ever heard a Palestinian speak before? Have you ever heard an Arab speaker speak English before? This clearly fake account, which, you know, moved on from posting clear ChatGPT written articles with a fake Palestinian face, also claims to be a published researcher who holds a terminal degree, whatever the fuck that means, in education, along with degrees in psychology, criminology, and sociology. That's a lot of random degrees for a published researcher to have. Weirdly enough, you can't find any of her published research anywhere. The only record of her existence is a Medium blog writing articles about how Ethan Klein isn't a Zionist while pretending to be a Palestinian. So yeah, Ethan Klein has not only made a clear and open call on his podcast for candidates to write paid articles covering his fake self-victimization narrative and, oh, I'm a victim of harassment because I'm getting fucking creamed on the actual arguments regarding my support for genocide. He's also outright already done it. Multiple times, in fact. And I don't know how Mr. David Gurri thought this was going to go. I'm probably going to make another video as well covering David Gurri alone, because I mean, when I see there's absolutely nothing there on Google for you, man, did I get giddy? Did I get excited? Your slander article against me, no one's going to pay any attention to it, dude. It's on the fucking Free Press. It's a Bari Weiss blog. You're powerless. But you don't know the hornet's nest that you have decided to prod. For your first article as a little nepo boy, I would have gone with something a little bit less contentious, perhaps a little bit more evidence-based, perhaps a little less defamatory. But yeah, Ethan Klein is outright paying people to write positive articles about him now. You cannot make this stuff up. The evidence is extremely clear, from the Spill GG guy calling out Tom Ward to this guy sending me this comical email literally just a week or two right after Ethan made this open call on his podcast for people to get him in contact with anyone who has like some tangential connection that could get his narrative published on an official looking blog that is just actually a vanity publication by fucking Bari Weiss. Bari Weiss, by the way, who specifically called out the Palestinian poet Refat Al-Arir as a target for the IDF. She called him out, pointed to him as someone who should be killed, and then he was bombed and killed by them. So yeah, that's the kind of company who David Gurri keeps. The kind of company that Ethan Klein keeps. What more is there to say?